Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Our guest of today is Gautam. He's the co-founder of Sekura ID. And yeah, Gautam, why don't you tell a little bit more about yourself and what the company is doing?
Thanks a lot, Jay, for having me here. Hello, everyone. As Jay mentioned, I am the co-founder for Sekura ID. Now we are part of a much larger group called XConnect, which is part of the Somos group from US. So what do we do primarily is we are creating the missing identity layer for the internet. Big ambition. And also we are working with the mobile operators around the world, utilizing their amazing assets, data, and then utilizing some machine learning on top of that, and using that data and assets to help the businesses to fight fraud, keep the fraudsters away, and most importantly, trying to keep the humans who are utilizing or using those digital services to make their lives much safer in the internet. Yeah. So in short, that's exactly what we are doing.
Amazing. And talking about what you guys are doing, right? Like, what is the biggest issue there is in the industry right now, which you guys are solving? You kind of mentioned a little bit with fraud, but could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Absolutely. I think it will be helpful for the audience as well to, understand where we are coming from, why we are doing this thing, and what we are doing. And then how we are doing is the easy part. So let's face it, the internet was never designed to identify humans, you, me, and the audience. It was designed to identify computers. Hence, there are IP addresses. Unfortunately, we humans do not have IP addresses yet until Mr. Elon Musk, tries to put in some sort of chip here, and then who knows what. We might all have IP addresses, but so far we don't have it. And then it never had. When I say it, the internet, and I'm actually using internet as a synonym to the World Wide Web, although technically they are not same, but I'm sure we can actually use the internet as the World Wide Web. What did we do? Because at the end of the day, we humans are using all the digital services in the internet, but the internet doesn't know how to identify me and you, right? At the initial days, it was all okay. When I say initial, when the web was, or the internet was formed in 1989 by Sir Tim Berners-Lee, because I'm old enough to remember, all we used to do in the internet or the web was browsing or surfing. So whether it's me who is browsing into Yahoo or AOL, or it's you, or fraudsters didn't exist at that time because there was no fraud to do. Who cares? The only important thing at that time was to identify the returning user. That's why cookies were invented at that time. But then we started to do some very interesting stuff on the internet. We started to do commerce. We started to do banking. We started to do social media. And now we are, connecting all the machines as well, the IoT world into the internet. And then all the AI agents are doing amazing stuff in the internet. But doesn't know how to identify me and you. So what did we do? We created a model where there is no trust. So what do I mean by that is, let's say I want to pay you for some sort of service, let's say eBay, right? You sold something to me, I want to pay you. The way we have created this entire digital ecosystem is eBay will say, no, you cannot pay. That's counterintuitive. If someone is paying, the intuition says the money first, then you will talk about things later. But it will say, no, you cannot pay. You need to prove you are Gautam first. And how do I need to prove? I will be getting a challenge, for example, in the form of this omnipresent password text box. I hate password. I'm sure you do as well. And I'm sure many of the listeners are. I hate it so much that I had to do a TEDx talk just to talk about password. But anyways, that really you can talk about later. So anyway, so if I know Gautam's password, then it's me. If I can actually show that I have received the OTP delivered to Gautam's phone, then it's me. If I scan my face and it's the same face that Gautam scanned when registering for the service, then it's me. That is not humanized. Humans work in a society in the world based on trust, but we cannot trust in the digital ecosystem because the internet doesn't know how to be you or me, to identify you and me. Anyways, but now the important thing, and this is where I'll come what we do. There was a parallel internet that was created just 4 years after the, let's say, the web was invented in 1989. So in 1991, there was a parallel internet was created. We never called it the internet, but it did exactly the same thing. It connected, let's say, machines. Is the mobile network. The first GSM-based, SIM-based mobile network was created in 1991, but it behaves differently. What do I mean by that is Let's imagine, Joey, you call me. My mobile operator is whoever in the UK. It will not just be funny. It will be unacceptable if my mobile operator said, hey, you cannot take that call until you prove you're Gautam. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way. Here, it works in a different way to the traditional internet. If you call it the mobile internet, or it works in a way where I am not challenged. Does it mean it's not secure? It's extremely secure. But it's not involving me, challenging me. There is trust there, but trust is behind the scene, not involving me. How do they do it? They do it using this very humble device we call SIM. The I in SIM stands for identity. I keep reminding myself and everyone else, right? It's subscriber identity module. The SIM was created to put that human identity in the ecosystem. This is where we come in. What we are doing is we are bringing in that capability, which is there in the this parallel internet, which we never call internet, this mobile network. We are bringing in the capability which can identify the human without challenging, which is not humanized, into the traditional internet and providing that same seamless experience. But that's just the start. That's what I call creating the identity layer for the internet, because internet doesn't have that. And we have done so much of extreme innovation, revolution, whatever we say, including this agentic AI space that we are doing right now, but we have not solved that fundamental problem. And that's what we are trying to solve. Big ambition, but we have been fairly successful.
I think it's amazing. I think it's always really good to have big ambitions, because once we are having big ambitions, it enables our mind to think broad, right? If we think like really specific, we're never gonna come up with like groundbreaking solutions. And I really like what you're saying, because this like actually like enabling the internet to make it more safe, I think it's a huge gap right now. It's huge.
Absolutely. And then it's much more humanized. I'll say one more thing here as well, right? There could be a lot many solutions there, right? So we have got some amazing kind of innovations happening even in the internet to solve this problem. So the large players like Apple, Google, they have been, solving it with amazing technologies like passkeys, which is using cryptography on the mobile device, and they're great solutions. The reason we all, as part of Sekura and XConnect, are passionate about what we are doing using the SIM is firstly humanization, secondly inclusivity. That's critical for whatever we do. What do we mean by that? Is, let's say you are utilizing some sort of cryptography, and again, let's not get into technicalities where I am not involved to get challenged, etc., but there are some cryptographic things happening on my mobile device or whatever device we are using, so that it is happening invisibly without involving me. That's great. If I can afford an iPhone 16, absolutely great. There is a chip sitting in the iPhone called the keychain that's doing that. But what if I cannot afford that? What if I can only afford that $10, whatever you call it, feature phone, smartphone? The security is not there for obvious reason, because I cannot pay for that. So in that case, I am excluded from this secure internet. That's not fair. That's completely not fair, right? And that is not inclusivity. But the SIM doesn't care if it is in an iPhone 16 or in that $10 smartphone feature phone. It will provide the exact same security. And then if I cannot afford that high-end smartphone, I am still included in that secure internet. That's why we are very, very passionate about this thing. And I talked about invisibility, because it's not just the SIM which provides that invisibility from this security thing, because I, as a human, is not a security expert. The evolution has not given me the capabilities to know all the security vulnerabilities of this digital space of the internet. So that way, if that security element is invisible to me, in that case, I will make it more secure, because I am the weakest link as a human, right? And then I always quote what Steve Jobs said, right? Steve Jobs said about technology is technology should either be beautiful or it should be invisible. That's brilliant, right? That's talking about humanization. And that's exactly what we are doing. Adding on to that, the inclusivity aspect, so that we don't leave anyone outside this secure internet.
Amazing. And you guys doing this, like really growing this and putting this big ambition into the world. What are some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced was really growing this?
The entire, let's say, digital ecosystem has been, the status quo has been challenged by AI. Then we are actually fortunate enough that we were using this technology, which is cryptographic thing from the SIM. Let's not again go to the technicalities, but let me explain what do I mean by that. In the digital, let's say, space, phishing has been the most complicated problem, I would say. And it's more of a human problem. It's not really a technical problem. And that has been a challenge for every digital space, from banking to governments, the financial industry, even to us. So there's lots of variations there. So I call it all the ishings, right? Phishing, smishing, wishing, and there's another variant called smear phishing. So phishing is basically when someone sends me a message through whatever mechanism, and SMS, email, even voice calls, even video calls, but to basically with an intention which is not really a good intention. The intention of that message could be either to steal my credentials, my password, my banking account details, or to defraud me, to take away some money, or my reputation, or my data, or to blackmail me, and so on. Remember all those, I think they're stopping now. Those emails that we used to get on some prince from sub-Saharan Africa wants to give all their money to us, those emails, right? Those are phishing things. Or pretending to be a bank, right? Sending a message, hey, I am I am your bank. We have seen some unusual activity. We want to protect you. Please click here. And then, yeah, anyway, so that's what phishing is. And that's not in one geography, right? Every single geography, it's impacted on that. Every single business is impacted on that. And most importantly, we humans are impacted on that, right? And when I said that, what is the biggest challenge? It's AI. AI has created probably the most difficult situation in phishing that we have seen so far. So let me give some narratives on that. Earlier, we already talked about this supposed prince emailing from somewhere saying that they want to give all the money. Of course, fake messages, but then some message arriving in an SMS pretending to be the bank. Earlier, we used to look into those messages, and then there will be some spelling mistakes, the language will be awful, and we will know, yeah, this is phishing. Not everyone, but majority of the cases, we will get to know. But then something happened in the world, this chat GPT moment, which we all started to use. But the same tools are used by the fraudsters as well. Then the fraudsters, who may not be proficient in that specific language where they will create the message, let's say in English, they started to use the same tools, the large language model, to create the messages. Then they were not. The language was appropriate. There was no spelling mistake. But then it didn't stop there. What happened was we are all social human beings. We want to post all those cat videos and, hey, I had my birthday and then I met my friend in Amsterdam city center and we had a nice time. We want to post all those, right? And they're in the public internet. And then what happened was these fraudsters then basically gathered those personal messages and fine-tuned these large language models so that the generated messages are not just accurate and from language and grammatical perspective, they become very personal. For example, one of my friend messages me and then he will always start with namaste, which in Hindi means hello, right? So if I receive a message from pretending to be that person and it starts with that, I will not doubt. I will think that it's coming from that, right? So these large language models fine tuned on our own personal data, which we love to share in the internet, they will make it happen. The scary thing is it doesn't stop there. And that probably is the thing that we need to solve. I was actually talking in a conference and I was waiting to be going on the stage, and my fellow speaker was a neuroscientist. And then when we were waiting to go to the stage, we started to chat. This person then asked me a very simple question. Hey, do you know why some content becomes viral? And being a technologist and my background is quantum physics as well, I thought, okay, let me put some logical answer. So it's a normal distribution where it's kind of a bell curve. Some content will not work, some content will work brilliantly, but not that great. But there will be some content which will be in the middle, which will become viral. That's how the world works. He said, not really. What he said, okay, I got curious. I said, can you tell me what's going on? He said that we don't know why it happens, but we know what is happening. I said, okay. Then he shared that basically what happens is these viral content, whether it's a text, it's an article, a blog, a book, a podcast, an audio, or an image, or a video, when we consume those with our eyes, ears, somehow they increase the amount of dopamine, oxytocin, all sorts of neurochemicals, because the brain doesn't see, brain doesn't hear. It depends on all the signals that are going through our neural ecosystem and which then gets injected with this neurochemicals. Then what happens is we start to become emotional. And there is the term, I actually wrote an article after that episode, and then Forbes published it. I call it amygdala hijack. We have two brains, system one and system two. System one is where we just react. That's the emotional brain. So somehow those viral content uses the system one. So it hijacks the amygdala. Now, this is the scary part. The fraudsters are fine tuning the model, of course, with our personal content, but with this viral content as well. What does that mean is those messages, phishing messages, will not just be accurate, will not just be personal, they will make us emotional and they will hijack our amygdala, which means we will just react without thinking. And it's not just a theory. One of my colleagues have gone through that, and I was talking in with one of our business partners and talking to the sales team. And one of the I spoke about this, and then one of the sales associate came up to me after I did the talk, said that I was embarrassed to talk about this thing, but it happened to me, and I have no logical answer why it happened to me. I said, this is exactly what is happening, and that's the scary part. So that's the biggest challenge. How do we solve it? I'll mention it. Sorry, you didn't ask, but I want to mention that there are solutions there, and the solution is not technical. Tools will not help here because we don't have a digital amygdala, right? Our amygdala has evolved over millions of years to identify threats in the physical organic world. Hey, there is a lion coming, run. But there is a threat coming in the digital world in the form of an AI. The amygdala doesn't understand. Maybe in few million years, hopefully we will. But now we are not there yet, right? So the weakest link is me as a human. The fraudsters are utilizing my humanness to attack me. So if we can actually remove me from the security chain, make it invisible, like what Steve Jobs said technology should be, we solve it. And that's exactly what we're doing. Using this SIM and all the data that the mobile operators have, we are making this security dance invisible for the human, making it much more secure.
Very interesting. And what are some of the ways, like how you guys are acquiring these new customers to really bring this into light?
When we say customers, it's any business who has a digital presence. Which business is not, right? All businesses have a digital presence, and we all share the same internet. So that business will not create their own internet. They're connecting to the same internet, which doesn't know how to identify me and you, and can separate out the fraudster from there. And these days, that AI chatbot or the AI agent, that's another actor being involved. Anyways, so any of the digital services which needs to identify me needs that problem to be solved. Not just from security perspectives, because what we have done so far, as I was talking earlier, we have put in a lot of friction there. Right? Challenges, scan your face, okay, answer 10 questions, 3 questions, then only you get in. That creates conversion problems. So for many of the businesses, and our attention span has gone down. I was reading a report, it said that our attention span is 8.2 seconds on an average, which scared me because the goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. So all the goldfish jokes are on us now. But anyways, so where we cannot put in a lot of friction. Yes, we need to do it because of the internet doesn't know how to identify me and you by throwing all the challenges, but that doesn't help the businesses on conversions. So that way, if we can remove those, let's say, friction for the business, in that case, more business, more conversion, happy customers. We all humans are happy. The way we are actually getting more customers is to basically talk through, understand those problems. In some verticals, for example, banks, majority of our customers are banks for obvious reasons. For them, the problem is security and fraud and phishing and all sorts of things in between. So then the same, let's say, solution solves that. Because as I was mentioning, the solution is not much, yes, technical, but not always technical. It's to make it invisible. That's what we are doing. For the other type of customers where it's like the seamlessness or removing the friction, then we work with them. Hey, the problem is we don't want any friction because we want the customers to be happy just going. Then we provide the same solution and solve their problem in that way.
Amazing. And what are the ways you reach out to these people that they got to know your service?
Multiple ways, right? What we are doing now, talking about it, because that's very important. Because I remember we were working with one of the regulators in Southeast Asia, and then we said that, hey, let's not use SMS OTP because it's not fair on the businesses, on the government, and the humans. They said, fine, but what option do we have? I said, the options were there since 1991 in the form is the same. But they say, we were not aware of that. That's why one of the things that we are doing is, I am personally doing as well, talking about it. writing about it, making everyone, when I say everyone, it's the businesses and the consumers aware of it. That's the first thing. And also, then I think the industry is helping. I don't know if you and or the audience knows about GSMA. GSMA is the GSM Association. It's the trade organization of all mobile operators, and they work behind the scene, but doing amazing stuff. That's where I was working before we created Sekura. They have created a massive program called GSMA Open Gateway APIs to basically standardize this, to make aware of all the mobile operators around the world, more than 800 of those, that they are aware as well that they're sitting on a gold mine. Of course, there is a societal element to make the internet safe and secure, make the humans safe and secure, but at the same time they can monetize it, right? They're sitting on these assets since 1991. Basically they can get some revenue out of it as well. So that's another element. The industry has woken up. Then, of course, through the social media channels, we have some brilliant guys working in our marketing and social media team. They actually keep providing stories, right? And also, I mentioned I did this TEDx talk in October 2023. Yes. And after that, when I talked about this, right, this is a problem, there is a solution as well. There are many people who reached out. Many of them probably I'll never meet. And they shared their stories. Then I shared those stories as well, saying that, hey, it's not just you alone. There are a lot many people that have gone through that. Let's just acknowledge that problem exists. But at the same time, let's understand there are solutions available and we are here to help. Not just us, there are a lot many other people who are actually providing these services in the industry right now.
Very nice. And I like this question also because it really like helps us to think in a very broad way. If you had like a magic wand, think about like Harry Potter, and you're holding this magic wand right now in your hand, and you think like with this magic wand, you could solve any problem in your business right now with a snap of a fingertip. Like what problem would you solve with this magic wand?
I think not just for our business, it's for the entire digital society. If I have one magic, every time anyone asks me, I will say just one thing. I want to get rid of passwords from this entire digital ecosystem. I'm just saying it's not just because I'm passionate about it. It's because there is one report that Verizon publishes. It's called the Verizon DBIR, Data Breach Investigation Report. Year on year, there is one statistics that actually remains same. Majority of the breaches in the digital space, 80 to 86%, and that's the variation, right? It changes from 80, 81, 86, and so on, right? Is related to what is known as credentials, which is passwords. If I can use that magic wand to get rid of password, we solve 80% of the problem that we all are facing as a society, as humans, as businesses, as governments, right? So that will be the obvious one.
Amazing. So get rid of the passwords and simplify the process.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And if you have like to kind of finish it off, right, for everyone who's watching, I think you shared a ton of value and more at the importance. I really like the quote you said about like what Steve Jobs said. It either has to be like really good technology or you have to be invisible, right? Because if there's like an attention span of just 8 seconds, right, we're trying to like it's just the way we are wired right now. Like, look at Instagram, and there's just all this thing with scrolling going on. Everything is optimized to kind of catch your attention. And if you have, like, on all of this, like, one piece of advice on someone on the internet and they want to be, like, as secure as possible with as least hassle as possible as well, like, what would you say to them in a really concise, short answer?
So, to the businesses, I would suggest that collaboration is key. Let's work together. I mean, if you are a fintech, if you are doing social media, if you're doing all sorts of embedded finance and all amazing stuff that the AI companies are doing, creating agents and so on, great, focus on that. But you all are connecting to the same internet. The internet, that's an important thing to say, doesn't know how to identify me and you. That problem, again, give it to us. Let's work together because we cannot solve all the problems. We don't intend to be as well. But there is this one problem that we are passionately solving, and we will keep on doing that, is this exact problem, right? How to make this thing. Give it to us. Let's work together to solve that, right? Also, I would mention another thing, which is a bit in the future, maybe not, who knows, with the acceleration that's going on. Going forward, I talked about it's me as a human, you as a human using the internet. Going forward, that will change. It will be my personal AI agent will be representing me in that internet. So we are actually amplifying the problem because in that case, How do I actually, give more control? So that will be representing the digital me, right? How do I actually, control that? How does the businesses will know that that personal AI agent is representing me? Again, the same solution I talked about can actually solve that, right? So let's work together, the businesses, and we can solve it together, right? And for the consumers, let's understand what the problem is. Let's also understand there is solution. Visibility, as I mentioned, as Steve Jobs mentioned. Sorry, it's not me who mentioned it.
Amazing. And the people who are watching this podcast right now, and they're thinking like what Gautam is sharing, it's super valuable. Like, how can they find you? How can they connect with you or the company?
Thanks a lot. Please reach out to me in LinkedIn. Search for me, Gautam Hazari. If you search for Gautam Hazari password, you'll really find me. And also, please look out for our website. There are tons of information. I write lot many articles about now and also for future. And yeah, let's keep exploring. Let's keep discussing. Please share your stories, good, bad, some success stories, and then yeah, let's work together to make the world, the digital world, a safer place, as I always say.
Love that. Everyone, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks, Gautam, for sharing your story and your message. I make sure everyone, if you're curious about Gautam or the business, I will make sure to drop all the links down below in the description. Everyone, thanks for tuning in and see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Joey. Thanks a lot.